I came back and the door was slightly ajar, so I just clearly didn't latch it fully.
Yeah,
but I was walked in like, anybody here? This is terrifying. No one there. All the computers were there. Everything's fine.
John, if you get stabbed to death in the middle of a podcast, can I just leave that in?
Oh God. You could sell it on the dark web.
But I mean, it would just be audio, right?
Yeah, then you could get something for that.
You think I could get something? Because you can easily just fake that. There are ASMR streamers. I mean, I know VTubers literally do ASMR streams where, hey, cool, choke me, mommy. You know? So I know that's a thing.
Them VTubers are very authentically death horny for sure, for sure. Yeah, you can listen to that and be like, "Whoa, I can't tell if she's getting choked or not." Yeah, this is so hot.
Well, I mean, like her choking you. Like that's the kind of stuff that they do, where it's like, you know how like there's some fanfic that's like, X or like character X reader. Of course. It's kind of like that, where like she is like doing things to you, or she is suffocating you. Like she's put a bag over your head and is choking you out. Like I've heard like even like real popular ones have done things like that.
I strongly suspect from everything I've seen that the VTuber ASMR murder streams are the Playmobil Presents Baby's First ASMR murder stream.
Baby's First Death Horny.
I've never heard a VTuber be sexy in my life. Sorry.
Rhete is absolutely heartbroken.
I love the art. Art's great.
Yeah, the art's fantastic. But listening to any of these girls talk about sex a lot of the time is maybe oh boy, you're kind of not great at this, huh? God bless them, though. You know what? I'm still happy. The simps love it. So, I'm not gonna yuck anybody's yum, as the kids say.
I didn't want to yuck any yums. I don't think
the kids say that anymore. I think Griffin McElroy says that.
Is that where that came from?
I don't know, but that's the first place I think I had heard it.
Because I heard John say it first, and I was like, I don't know. I hate it, but I'm going to say it anytime that I want to sound weirdly ironic.
The McElroy to John pipeline.
It's on urbandictionary.com from 2010.
Okay, that's wow. That
is also when MBMBAM debuted.
Damn it.
So there's no way to know for sure.
Goddamn McElroy.
I don't want to yuck any yums with enjoying the VTubers either.
Check here,
I just don't.
Are currently clean on OPSEC. It's the Sockscast episode 160. Nice.
Nice.
Uh-oh.
I'm here. I hear you.
Okay. How's it going, everybody? How's it going, internet land?
I was blown by that cold open.
Oh? The cold open was pretty good, yeah. Mm-hmm. Holy shit. So, yeah, like welcome everybody to the world. The world's still dying around us. And we'll all get through it, I'm sure.
Somehow
you'll do it. You'll do so with your best friends right here at the Sockscast. So, to my immediate virtual right, get up on his Wisconsin death trip. It's Rhete.
Hello.
Hey.
That's a reference I probably don't get.
Yeah, it's a Static X album, Wisconsin death trip. It's really good. Evil disco.
So let's break it down. What's Wisconsin?
Wisconsin? It's a state.
Oh.
Rhete,
did you literally just have a brain fart and forget what Wisconsin was?
I was trying to do a bit without knowing where it was going.
What's Wisconsin in the context of the album?
I don't think the band is from Wisconsin. I think it's just
maybe
a real
they hate
cool
Wisconsin.
Yeah, maybe. It's a Wisconsin death trip. It just sounds really cool, though.
Does sound fucking cool.
That's such a good, good. All in all, good imagery around that whole album cycle. Just really, really good.
The album title is taken from a book of photographs of dead people in Wisconsin.
Oh my God.
All right,
you know what? For a new metal act, that tracks really well. If you're going to be super edgy, you're going to be a new metal band, yeah, that's absolutely the way to go. So
Born in Chicago.
Yeah. Wow. I didn't know that.
I know.
Yeah. Well, there you go.
Not going to get a Wisconsin death trip on a VTuber stream. ASMR stream.
No, you are probably not going to get a Wisconsin death trip on a VTuber stream. To my immediate virtual left, he wants to fucking break it. It's John Thayer.
Hi. That's me.
That is you. That is you. What is your current status on wanting to break?
I've got a cup of Lady Grey tea with lemon and sugar, so I'm feeling pretty good.
Oh, nice.
I also just took a hot bath. I wanted the hot bath to fix me. I wanted to go from kind of feeling meh to feeling great because of the hot bath. Normally that does the trick. Didn't quite do the trick. But you know, we'll ride it out.
We'll ride it out. Look, man, it's just a couple hours with your friends will get you through anything.
Absolutely.
So I know we're not a news podcast at all. I know that we don't talk about the latest news for the gamers.
Oh, man.
But man, I can't help. I got to call special attention. There was a Nintendo Direct this week that I think was pretty much all bangers. There's so much good shit to look forward to. Like and it's all still, Switch relevant. It's still not jumped to Switch 2 yet, despite the fact that they're, I guess, going to unveil that on the 2nd or whatever. But they were just like, hey, no, we still got a bunch of cool shit coming for the Switch. And I was going to run down a little list here of things that I'm personally excited about that I think probably has a lot of crossover with a lot of our audience. But
I know exactly.
Rhythm heaven.
Yeah, baby! So they started off with fucking No Sleep for Kaname Date from the Somnium Files. A new Somnium game.
Yay.
And that sounds like it's going to be a more small scale kind of guy. Like they're going for something that's really small scale. It looks like it's kind of going the Zero Escape route too, with like escape rooms and stuff mixed in with the dream stuff. So, I mean, that's kind of cool. I'm interested. It's coming out in July too, so it's not like a year away.
Oh, nice.
So it's just a couple months off. They're finally doing a remaster of the Rhete Kuzunoha game or Devil Summoner from PS2. So that
sounds like a game that kind of needs it.
Yeah, buddy. Yeah, buddy. Get all of those SMT games from PS2 over, please. Those all need rescued because they're all generally pretty good. Patapon 1 and 2.
That's a shock.
I loved those games on PSP. I could not be happier that Patapon is coming back. It's another fun little rhythm game with a lot of cute mechanics, just a cute look to it and everything, and getting both games at the same time. So that's awesome as hell. We're getting a new Salamander game.
Oh god, yeah, this one rules.
Yeah, we're getting a new Salamander.
Salamander 3.
It's going to be included on the Gradius Origins collection, which is coming out sometime this year. But yeah, Salamander 3. I know they did. They included a new Castlevania: The Adventure 2 remake, I believe, on one of the early, on the last Castlevania collection they did. There was like a new. I
thought it was a remake of the arcade game Haunted Castle.
Oh, was it a Haunted Castle?
And it was M2. I heard it was really cool.
Yeah. M2 is really good. I wish that they would rescue the Rebirth games that they did on
that was
Wii.
M2? I forgot that was M2.
Yeah, that was M2. They did Contra, Gradius, and Castlevania Rebirth, and they're all good.
They've been at this a while.
They have. They know what they're doing. So Salamander 3, and of course, Rhythm Heaven Groove. I'm so happy for more Rhythm Heaven.
Yeah.
I think what a lot of people don't know is that series was likely on hiatus because the producer for it ended up having vocal cord cancer. And
this one's such a bummer.
Yeah, it's a bummer. They had vocal cord cancer, and apparently they have recovered to the point now of being able to get back to doing things. So new Rhythm Heaven game on the way. So yeah, that just made me happy to kind of watch one of these presentations, and I actually come out the other side excited about more than just one thing. Like there's just a whole pile of cool stuff to keep me from wanting to jump out of a window for the next year at least.
That's a win.
That is. So I at least have things to look forward to. I'm not looking forward to my speaker system dying on my computer because that is threatening to happen as we are recording. So that's going to be fun. We're going to hope that holds out for another hour and a half or so. And then we'll have to buy another $200 set of speakers. So that's not an expense I'm looking forward to having to, go out of my way to do. Hello, and I'm Polly. I would like you all a lot more if you gave me lots of money. I forgot to introduce myself, of course. But hey, we're here to podcast and we're here to listen to a bunch of goobers talk about stuff. So, Rhete!
Hi.
Get us started. Take us on that Wisconsin death trip that
I've
you're
got
so famous
a
for.
list of bangers this week for sure.
Oh, let's go. Let's go.
When we did it podcast last week, I was like, oh, that's fine because I had nothing.
And now you got all the things.
Oh, yeah, I totally have all the things. So I finished Final Fantasy VII Rebirth last time. And I was like, okay, time for the next big thing. Crack open Ace Attorney Investigations Collection.
Oh fuck yeah.
This is a... it's 2 games, the Ace Attorney Investigations 1 and 2. 2 was never localized.
No,
and
it
everyone
wasn't.
says that's the great one.
Of course.
That's the great Ace
That's the way
Attorney,
it goes.
right?
Yeah. But to play that, you probably want to at least go through that first game,
Yeah.
which I did.
I've not played that first game in 10 years, so I would literally have to replay the first Miles Edgeworth game.
I don't know. I think I saw a list of like Ace Attorney games ranked from worst to best. And this was on the bottom.
I remember thinking it was okay. I did not hate my time with that first Miles Edgeworth game.
I didn't hate it, but I got through it eventually.
It is a video game of all time.
I felt I learned something about myself by playing this game because wow, did I just literally get physically sleepy a lot. Like learning just how bad my attention span is.
Oh no.
To the point where I'm like, oh, I'm actually like literally nodding off. It's time to do something else right now. Yeah, so like I think if this is the worst Ace Attorney game, that's pretty good, honestly. But I'm going to get to the second game.
Where did the first Apollo Justice game land in there? Because, man, I really struggled with that one.
I think Ace Attorney 5 is actually, of the first, like the main 6, I think 5 is kind of regarded as the worst one.
Yeah, Dual Destinies is generally regarded as pretty awful all around.
4, 5, 6 sound like a lot.
Yeah.
But I think specifically people put like 5 next to Ace Investigations 1 as like bottom tier.
I think I watched someone play like 6 or 7 Ace Attorney games in a row, and I would absolutely lose my mind.
Yeah.
I would melt. I think for me the issue with poor Ace Attorney is that I played like a little bit of it as a kid, but never like all the way through. Through to like the really banger chapters in that first game. And then I played all of the imitators. I played every Danganronpa. I played all of Umeko, multiple other games where it's like, hey, it's like Phoenix Wright, and then going back to Phoenix Wright. It's like, this is. I love how stripped down this is. I love that this is this thing without all this extra bullshit. But I've also had a lot of this thing.
Yeah. That's kind of what happened when I went back and tried to continue playing the series with Dual Destinies. It was like, man, I've played all of the Danganronpa games since this, and I was already like with Danganronpa 1, I was like, oh, this is just way better than Ace Attorney.
Yeah.
So yeah, going back to Ace Attorney was rough. I don't know that I'm going to be able to do 5 and 6.
I don't even know if I like I think I probably like Phoenix Wright 1 more than a lot of those games. It's just that I've had so much of it now.
Yeah.
So Ghost Trick is better.
Ghost Trick just demolishes Ace Attorney. If you want like hot takes central, like fucking Ghost Trick absolutely demolishes Ace Attorney. And they only needed one game to do it.
They needed one game. They said, we're done. I think there's a reference in Investigations. There's a dog named Missile.
Oh, good. Chapter 4 of the first game was like, okay, this is the guy that wrote Ghost Trick.
Yeah. I like that third game. I like Trials and Tribulations a lot as well, too. I think that game is fantastic.
Cool.
I mean, that's generally regarded the best one.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think part of the problem with the investigations is that it's like a double-edged sword where they make the investigation sections better, but then the trial sections don't exist.
Yeah, there's no trial in the Ace Attorney Investigations games, and that is a weird thing. Because you're just
it's an adventure game, right?
Yeah, you're just a prosecutor. You're just getting the trial to court. So you don't get the satisfaction.
Where it's like, instead you'll debate other characters, and it's literally the exact same style of, they'll say something that has a contradiction and you point out the contradiction.
Okay. They do keep that.
They just repurpose it.
Yeah. So mechanically it's exactly the same. It's just, I think, the ebb and flow of the game, because you're not going between this is all investigation section, this is all courtroom section, because it kind of bounces back and forth a lot. It doesn't really, like, it doesn't have the super high highs that you want from when the court cases just keep fucking escalating.
When somebody goes off the deep end in the courtroom, it's always the best thing.
Yeah. Actually, I think one of the things that the main series does better in general is that because you collect all the evidence generally at first, like, you have to be able to somewhat piece together what's going on, and then when it subverts your expectations, that's good.
Yeah.
This game has a weird way of just, like, several times just throwing like 3 or 4 pieces of evidence at you that you didn't find yourself, and just being like, okay, you're going to need this for the next like conversation.
Yeah.
And it's just not quite as satisfying.
Gotcha.
Because it doesn't,
that tracks
it
me.
doesn't set up its like conclusions well enough, I think. Also, like, the last case in this has its big emotional climax like in the middle, and it's really awkward.
Oh no.
Because I was like, oh, is this the end of the game? And then it goes on for like 3 or 4 more hours. Because it's like, okay, now you actually have to take down the mastermind.
Yeah.
But like the big twist is well before that. And I'm just like, the pacing just feels so weird here.
Yeah.
Aww.
This would be one where it's just like, again, I played this 10 years ago and I remember having a good time with it, but like I was also just coming off of like Ghost Trick, and I was just in the mind of like, oh, I'm just really into these games now.
Yeah. I played that original trilogy. It was like, I'm done.
Yeah.
Like, I don't care about these spin-offs. And then it was like, many years later.
Yeah, Great Ace Attorney is one I think I probably want to check out, even if I forego 5 and 6, which I'm probably going to at this point. I've tried a number of times to start Dual Destinies, and I get like halfway into the first case, and I'm just like, oh, I'm just going to turn my 3DS off for the night and put it to bed, and then, oh shit, I left it on my bedroom table, you know, for the last week. It's just still sitting there in sleep mode. Uh-oh.
For me, it was, I played the original trilogy, took like 10 years off, and then played the Layton one.
Yeah.
Which was also done by Shu Takumi. Yeah. And then Greatest Attorney, which was also him. So like, that's my sequel trilogy, those 3, and not 4, 5, 6. Actually, I did play 4. That's when I was actually like, okay, I'm out.
Yeah. Apollo Justice is just, man, it's so boring.
It's not bad, but it was kind of in the vein of this one. It's just like, okay, it's getting a little tired.
Yeah.
But maybe I'll be able to articulate better with this one when I play the sequel, because everyone is like, it's so much better.
Yeah,
and like,
I consistently hear
curious.
that second game is absolutely amazing.
And everyone being so mad for like 10 years that it didn't get translated officially. Like, there was a fan translation.
Yeah, the fan translation was really good. I have it on my Cyclo DS, and I played a little bit of it back in the day, and it was really good.
Nice. People are uppity that they changed the names in this one because it's official.
Oh,
and all the names are puns. They always change them from the Japanese.
They always do name puns, yeah.
So they're not going to just keep the fan translation names. What do you?
Come on.
Yeah, so I played that real quick because 25 minutes goes kind of quickly, and I forgot my timer.
See, I told you!
I played a little bit of
I got you on the clock. Don't worry, Rhete.
I played a little bit of Star of Providence.
Oh, yeah.
I want to play this one.
Yeah, Monolith. This is formerly Monolith.
This was formerly Monolith after the end.
I love this game. This game's so good.
Well, you should check out this new version because it's better, but it's still not for me.
Oh, I was really hoping this would land. It just kind of felt like, even when I played it like 4 or 5 years ago, whenever, I was like, this is so Rhete. I feel like this is so you.
It is wild seeing my achievements go June 28th, 2018, and then March 9th, 2025, like reached level 6. Like, oh my god, 7 years later, Jesus Christ.
This was back on my radar because Chambers just posted like a big clear video of it where he said, boy, the description starts, they really cooked since the last time I made a video on this 7 years ago.
Yeah.
This was not
this
the
update-
game I ever thought I would hear about again.
Yeah, this update just came out along with like a Switch port.
The game was still called Monolith back then, and over the years, they never really stopped adding more and more content and mechanics and polished.
Man, they changed the name because of the WB studio.
Yeah.
Just in case they got litigious. And I think by the time this got its new update, Monolith got closed.
Monolith got closed because the game industry is a trash fire.
That's just dire. But yeah, I like this game. I just don't love its weapon stuff. Like, because you're constantly running out of ammo. John, I need to look at that video you posted later. That looks nuts. I didn't get to that shit. Like,
I like that is something that I liked about like I didn't like Enter the Gungeon. Like I
hear this one compared to that a lot.
And like I like the idea of always having to adapt your playstyle on the fly. Like every weapon has a small well of ammo for you to use, and then you've got to get over to something else. It's almost Hotline, the original Hotline Miami. I think is like the perfect feel for that, where every gun's got like 1 or 2 shots, and then you just got to get rid of that sumbitch and grab something else. And I like that where you're scrambling around a play field to just like. I gotta use whatever's around me. I love that.
See, this isn't that though. This is like there'll be like one weapon room per floor, and you have to take it, or they disappear when you leave the room.
Yeah, when you leave the room, which is wild.
Yeah, I mean, I think you can just not open the crate, but
sure, yeah.
I just felt like I was dropping back to the default gun like way too often, and during boss fights or before the boss fight, and just like I think I'd prefer the Isaac style where you're slowly building up what your weapon for that run is going to be.
That always feels good.
Yeah, where in this you just like picking from like, oh, here's a revolver with like these 4 stat mods.
Yeah.
And then 5 rooms later, oh, now you're using this and it's completely different. Like you can't really break the game when you're just really being told what to use by it.
Yeah, I kind of feel like they were very conscious in wanting to make the game not be broken in the same way that Isaac and other, procedural generated roguelike games like this can be.
I do feel like I would just like this more if it was a more traditional shoot 'em up.
Yeah.
Or just make it a linear shoot 'em up with like all the bosses in a row. Because there's cool stuff in here, but like having to grind and like repeat 13 loops or something.
Yeah, that's valid, totally valid.
God, there are 13 loops. The new Loop 13 TLB is incredible.
That's basically like I got to like, because I think the game normally ends after 5 floors by default, and then I eventually built up the thing you need to get to the 6th floor. And the boss there kicked my ass. But then I was like, these runs are a little too long. It's like taking me 40 minutes to get here and lose.
Yeah.
I will say one thing that was really funny. The first 3 runs I did, I beat floor 5 with 1 HP every time.
Oh, nice.
So like I was getting that nail biter climax every time. But then you go to floor 6 and now everything does 2 damage.
Everything does 2 damage, yeah.
Just like, oh no. I was just barely scraping by at this difficulty. Now you're cranking it up way higher. See, I also kind of hoped there was going to be more story stuff. Yeah. So far, there's been like none.
It's pretty
Yeah. I watched that trailer and I just go, I want the Void Stranger version of this. And then lastly, out of fucking nowhere during the Steam sale.
Oh, I know where we're going.
I picked up Cyberpunk 2077.
Yeah, boy.
Because I was so close to getting Yakuza Pirates because I wanted something stupid. And I was like, oh, well, this is cheaper. And then it wasn't after buying the DLC.
Nah, because then you are right at the same price.
Pretty much, yeah. And I'm like, well, at least I got to try it before committing all the way.
Yeah.
Those devilish bastards, they found a way to keep the game at basically the same price by just adding
the DLC.
That game seems neat. It's a functioning video game now is the most important part.
Yeah, like this feels kind of like the same turnaround that maybe Final Fantasy XIV had, where when it launched, it was like people were like, man, what are you doing?
I think of the games that got transformed, there's also No Man's Sky. I think Final Fantasy XIV.
Final Fantasy XIV is the bastion here. Like, it's obviously top of the mountain.
They just completely started over. Like, there's like entire like locations and stuff were just gone. Like, as far as I know, the story and the city in this is the same.
Yeah.
It's just like the underlying systems driving everything don't fucking break constantly.
Yeah.
Cops will actually aggro you if you commit crimes now. The skill trees. I couldn't believe that. I'm like, did they really not before? I mean, also kind of mood. If you could just do stuff and the cops will ignore it.
I can think of a few things I would want to do, but I can't say them on a podcast because they would get me. I would suddenly be disappeared.
Well, I will say the first thing I did in this game once I got control was accidentally kill a cop.
Accidentally. Wink.
I was just walking around and then a prompt came up that said press F to grab, and I pressed F and I grab a cop by the behind, and then it's like press F to snap their neck, and I'm like, okay, so I do it.
Why not? I'm already, you know what? I'm already, in for a penny, in for a pound.
Press F to pay respects to the cop.
Press F to pay respect. This is about the respect you deserve.
So, I mean, like, literally, this was like the first thing. So then I walk like 5 feet forward and it starts a cutscene. And in the background, you can see this dead cop on the stairs.
Cyberpunk.
That's good shit. I already love this game.
And there's NPCs walking around. And one of them stops to look and then like sits down on the stairs next to him.
He's pressing F to pay respect.
Yeah. I'm just like, well, this is very emergent to dynamic now. Love it. I haven't played the original version of the game, obviously. I'm just reading these updates being like, oh, wow, you changed like a lot of stuff. Like the whole skill tree system.
Yeah, that got gutted, didn't it?
It's completely different now.
Yeah.
It's funny, like, picking the first perk of, like, regain slow HP, like, slow HP regen during combat, and then seeing on the wiki, didn't exist in version 1.6. Like, oh, okay.
Jeez.
Apparently, the original version was, like, way more RPG-focused, where every district in the city had different level enemies. And now it's all level scaling, which some people don't like, but it makes it feel more like an action game, I think.
Yeah.
So I can understand, like, there are trade-offs there, but
yeah, like it was always promoted as an RPG, so I can see kind of losing a bit of that.
Yeah.
And kind of feeling like, well, I paid for one thing and now I got another. I can see kind of being a little upset about that, but I feel like this game always just kind of looked like it needed to be a little more action-based to me, though.
Yeah, because I think the problem with that is you walk like into a different part of the city and, oh, now I'm against a level 30 guy, and you shoot him in the head 10 times and he just takes like 5 damage, and you're like, oh.
That makes sense. That's some Borderlands shit there.
I think this is a good universe for people being able to absorb a lot of bullets.
Yeah.
But there's also a point where it just becomes absurd.
Yeah.
So I think the current version is balancing in that better.
Very cool.
I will say the new skill trees, like skill trees in games are so boring a lot of the times now. The ones in this are actually like, oh, I want that. Like, you feel
that's a good feeling.
Yeah, you feel the drive to like, oh, I want this thing. Oh, I want that thing too.
Like you're on a node and you're surrounded by all the things you want. You really do feel like a kid in a candy store. Whereas when I played games like Diablo 2 back in the day, and even later games and iterations with skill trees, like, God, I gotta buy all the crap things that I don't want first. Here's the 0.02 extra damage to dinosaur type enemies. All right, let's buy that. Here's 1.2 seconds more critical. You
want that Etrian Odyssey balancing?
Yeah.
give us the good shit.
Absolutely.
Yeah, there's way more interesting stuff in this. Like, katanas can now block and parry bullets, which is crazy.
Yeah.
Or like now you can dash in the air, which just dramatically updates your mobility. And then the final one on that tree is dashing in the air regains stamina instead of using it. I'm like, wait, what?
You can probably do some real fun shit with that.
It's really fucking funny.
I'm focusing on dashing and using a shotgun, and the shotgun uses like all your stamina. So I'm like, but if I get that air perk, I'll be regaining it instead. Like on the strength tree, there's like do a superhero landing with blunt weapons.
Of course.
And of course, it's Cyberpunk. You can just take your arms off and put gorilla arms on there.
Yeah, let's go.
So I'm like, okay, I do want to eventually try the punchy build.
Gotta have a punchy girl.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Name her Hibiki.
No, your character's named V no matter what.
Gotcha.
Because, full voice acting.
Right, full voice acting.
Yeah, that'll do it.
Yeah. But yeah, I think there's a lot of quests in this to the point where I'm like, okay, this is maybe too much. Like, I'll see NPCs on the world map that are just like, you've done 0 out of 11 tasks for this character. And I'm like, no. Yeah, that's going to stay there.
You. Oh, thank you.
They have stuffed it full of. I mean, I guess that makes sense given Witcher 3.
Sure, I mean it's from that same pedigree. I understand where a lot of these systems are probably coming from.
Yeah, yeah. So it kind of reminds me of like GTA Far Cry right now.
Right.
Like the very hard commitment to first person action with some melee and just like. There's stealth systems. You can creep around enemies and then choke them and, do the non-lethal killer. You can dump them in. It's very AAA game and like it's just a pastiche of a lot of things.
Yeah.
And then there's some original stuff like the hacking. Like you can hack enemies on the fly and just make them burn or like do it.
All right.
Yeah, so I haven't gotten very far into the story yet, so like this will probably be next episode segment as well.
The saga. Cool. We got another saga.
I mean, I've got 33 hours in it right now, but I do have the DLC.
Damn.
I don't know how long this game could be. I mean, I think if
this feels like another 100-hour journey.
Well, that's the thing, because like when this came out, the how long to beat was like 20 hours ish.
It was very short.
So it seems like I wonder how much that is just people mainlining it versus you kind of taking your time, and how much of that is like they've added content. They fleshed it out. I feel
like the main story isn't the different though, so I'm not sure. Maybe I'll look up some videos of 1.0 later on and be like, oh God, what is this? Yeah, it's amazing that they turned that around. Also, I haven't looked into if there is a VR mod, because I'm like, this would be the most insane game ever in VR.
Sure.
But also would be too much probably. Just like all the driving and shooting. Like,
oh God, yeah, maybe a bit
much. You'd be motion sick really quickly.
Real quick trip to the bathroom.
but seeing that city in VR would be stunning.
Would be cool, yeah.
Because like they have definitely created a world here, and like the atmosphere is off the charts.
That's awesome. That's what I want in a cyberpunk world. Is I want that atmosphere to be just off the charts.
So, John.
Yeah?
What you been up to?
Motherfucking pinball!
Swerve.
Oh my God. We're up to some motherfucking pinball.
Hitting some balls with some flappers.
So, we went to the Pinball Hall of Fame in Las Vegas because we were on a trip.
Nice.
Seen friends, had a good time, got to see local stuff. I played blackjack for a half hour. I lost $6. I feel pretty good about that.
I heard 6 and I was like, oh God, not 100. Please don't say 100.
Nope, $6. I came in with $50 and I got up to like 100 at one point, and then I kept playing, and then I was down to like 40, and then I left a tip on top of that, and it was nice. So I thought it was worth the fun.
Sure.
It's kind of funny being around a bunch of like in-person gamble box machines and tables and whatnot, and then being like, oh no, everyone just does this on their phones now.
Yeah.
Oh, really?
It's very weird.
Yeah, the sports betting, there's a whole ecosystem, even outside of like gotcha shit. There's a whole ecosystem of like actual gambling over phones.
Yeah, go watch the Jamie Oliver this week episode on online gambling and see how easy it is and how predatory this shit is now if you want to fucking get real mad.
I love Jamie Oliver's This Week Today.
Yeah,
my
This
favorite
Week
show
Today.
in host. Nailed it. But yeah, it almost makes the in-person stuff feel a little quaint. Like, oh,
that's. I've been to Vegas, but it was in the 90s. It was very different.
I also got to see Penn and Teller, so that was really nice.
Buddy.
They're still
I
saw them in the 90s when I was like 13. That's what's funny.
Yeah, I saw them when I was a little kid. I don't know if it was where it was, but I saw them do a show and it imprinted on me. It was such a good time.
They're an institution.
And got to see them again. Still fucking killing it.
Yeah, they're just amazing.
Oh my God, it was such a good time. So we did a lot of stuff, but we made 2 4-hour trips to the Pinball Hall of Fame over 4 days. And it was worth it.
That is a long way to drive for pinball.
We flew. So yeah, but Polly, there are like 800 machines here.
That's so much pinball. That is the biggest sign I have ever seen in my life that just has the word pinball on it.
And at least 2/3 of them are working.
What does that sound like when you walk in?
That's gotta be nuts. That's gotta be just a cacophony.
Yeah, I had earplugs in for a lot of it. Same as when I go to. So we went to Galloping Ghost in Chicago earlier this year, and it was revelatory because they have like 800 old arcade machines.
Yeah.
And we just spent
go there sometime, yeah, for sure.
Yeah, it's a destination. It's incredible. We got there like 2 p.m. We went there New Year's Eve, got there 2 p.m. and then stayed until 12:30.
Oh, that's so good.
Rung in the new year playing all these fucking games. I got to play Escaluda, got to play just a bajillion cool. Got to play a bunch of like a Darius machine.
Those big 3-screen boys. Yeah, those are good.
There's a lot of stuff where the actual hardware is novel, where it's like, oh, this is not something I could do in Maine.
Ninja Warriors, that 3-screen thing. Yeah, just sit me in front of the Bosconian machine.
Yeah. Oh, there's a Bosconian machine.
Oh, I know there is.
You know those people that like slot machines that just plant themselves at the roulette, not the roulette. You know what I'm saying? I'm saying Polly planted in front of the Bosconian machine in the same way.
Yeah. Just completely zoned out. Oblivious to the world around me. I saw Sean Chiplock was like recording some dude in Vegas this past week. Dude just blowing handfuls of money, hand over fist, losing $300 to $500 a pop. Not a change in his demeanor at all. Just pressing that button and spinning them reels. It was absolutely horrifying.
That's harrowing.
It was, and then there was this awful background music in the background that sounded so ominous too. I'll have to find that. I'll have to find that post. It's just very. It made me very unsettled.
The casinos are unsettling because they're like the size of airports. You can just get lost in there. They're designed to get you lost in there.
Been lost in a casino. Okay, I know.
Yeah, so it is ominous. You're just walking by. It wasn't too smoky. I was a little worried about that. Yeah. No, it's just like a nice ambiance of sleaze that was kind of hit the way we. I was like, yeah, this is what we signed up for. It was a good time. I kind of want to play blackjack again.
See, it had its claws in you.
Just so you know, the house edge is much lower on the table games than it is on the casino than it is on the slots. Yeah. So it's a good trick.
Yeah.
And I was like, so wait, if in the long run the house always wins, it seems like the most logical thing to do here is to not play,
right?
And then the Uber driver was like, yes. But the blackjack was fun. But yeah, more importantly, fucking pinball. So this is like Galloping Ghost also has pinball machines. It has like a separate wing. It's a separate building where they have like 30 pinball machines. It's nowhere near as like big as their arcade section, obviously, but it was still cool. So we spent like an hour and a half there and then went back to the arcade machines. And Cecile, the love of my life, loves pinball. She's loved pinball for ages. Mm-hmm. She loves video game pinball. She loves simulations of real pinball, and she loves real pinball. Mm-hmm. She's really into like the HAL Lab pinball games, the like Revenge of the Gator and Kirby's Pinball.
Yeah.
Really into various pinball games on like the PS1 and whatnot, and really loves the physical machines. Mm-hmm. So I was like, all right, sure. I guess, I mean, I want to play Escaluda, but I guess I'll play some ball pin, they call it,
whatever.
Pinball?
It's
sure.
Cute. It's got little mechanic stuff in it. It's cute.
Yeah. I like put quarters in. No, they were free play Galloping Ghost, but I just put credits into it, played it, watched the flashing lights happen. I was like, yeah, this is a good time.
I guess things are happening here. I see numbers going up. I hear things dinging. I'm doing something right or wrong.
Am I a wizard yet?
I didn't know about that song until a week ago.
Wow.
Yeah, that was new to me. So then we went to, and then I put pinball on my head. So then we go to Pinball Hall of Fame. And I play it for like 4 hours, and I'm playing a bunch of pinball, putting credits in. You have to actually put quarters in at Pinball Hall of Fame. It kind of evened out about the same versus the flat fee.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, this is fun. Seeing all the bouncing lights, seeing the ball bounce around on the board. Because I did have pinball machines like at my place as a kid.
Sure.
So I'm nostalgic for it, obviously. But you just put a credit in and then play for a while, and then that's it, right? Right?
Then you start learning how pinball games actually work.
So the second time we went to Pinball Hall of Fame, I put a couple credits into the 2001 Austin Powers Stern pinball machine. And a couple things just started to kind of click. Like I noticed the lights. There's 4 lights under one of the ramps. And every time I went up the ramp, one of those lights turned on. And when all 4 of them came on, I got a multi-ball. I was like, interesting. The shots are pretty easy. I was listening to Cecile, and I was trying to catch the ball and kind of get control of the ball.
Yeah.
And then make a shot. And if you make a shot in pinball, it usually goes up, it'll go over a ramp, and then it'll loop back around and then safely get back into your flippers.
Right back into your flipper. Right back into your loving arms.
And it only will like move around. It'll only like bounce off and move around chaotically, bounce against the bumpers, maybe go down the outline, go straight down the middle. If you miss the shot, you can also bump the machine. If it looks like it's about to go straight down the middle, just give it a little
nudge.
Bump. Give it a little nudge.
Try not to tilt.
Try not to tilt, but I nudged it, and then I didn't lose the ball.
Yeah.
Interesting. I sent it up into the Austin Powers time warp that is at the it's a time machine, you could say. Oh boy, that machine plays voice clips constantly.
Oh yeah, baby, yeah.
Oh yeah, groovy baby. And I just played Austin Powers pinball for like an hour.
That's insane.
And I really started to kind of vibe with it. And I played other machines, and I kind of put it out of my head. And then on the way home, I watched a 45-minute video tutorial on YouTube explaining all the rules to Space Cadet Pinball for Windows.
Yeah, Windows Space Cadet Pinball, baby.
And suddenly, this game I played a bunch as a kid, there's missions in that game. There's progression. There's a finale.
It's a whole thing.
You can beat Space Cadet Pinball? What are you talking about?
What do you mean beat a pinball game? What do you mean?
I remember as a kid getting like 3 million points and feeling very impressive. This guy got 50 million like it was nothing.
John, that's like 47 million, way more than your stupid dumb kid
so much
bitch
more.
Ass.
So much more than my score.
God.
So I played some of that. And then I saw online. I'm just giving you all my whole journey here.
No, go ahead.
And I saw online somebody had recreated the Space Cadet pinball board in something called Virtual Pinball X.
Oh, yeah. I've heard of this.
Yeah, it is. So there's pinball recreations on Steam and whatnot that are paid. And then this is the FOSS solution.
Yeah.
This is the free and open source solution.
Yeah.
Where community members make boards for this kind of obtuse software that's been around for like 15 years.
Very MAME in that way.
Oh, it literally involves a MAME to simulate like the dot matrix display components and whatnot.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it'll actually, it's funny because with MAME, you're simulating the board and how it interacts with the controls in the screen. With pinball, there's all the circuitry going on, at least with the solid state machines. More lingo I picked up. Because it used to be these machines were completely mechanical.
Yeah, it's pretty wild.
Which is crazy.
The way they work. Like, pinball machines are honestly something that if you've never looked up how a pinball machine works, especially the old mechanical one, go watch some videos. It is fascinating. And to like know that a lot of my favorite developers got their start in developing pinball games at Bally Midway. Yeah. It's like, oh, that is such an interesting thing because you've got to have such a different way of looking at programming and like the way those things interface. So I didn't mean to.
No, this is absolutely good to hear. Yeah.
Like that stuff's cool as shit.
There's a really good Technology Connections video where he just digs into an electromechanical pinball machine for like an hour and a half, and it's fascinating.
It's good stuff.
But yeah, it's really interesting. And then so for those machines, the Visual Pinball X, people build out a recreation of the physical board in this simulator software, and then that interfaces with VPin MAME, which is an emulator for the electronic components. Yeah. And then they work together. And some people set up like their own virtual pinball things with multiple screens.
Oh, that's so cool.
It's very cool. But they had a recreation of Space Cadet pinball, but it's rebuilt in this thing, so it feels like real pinball. And I played that, and I was like, holy shit, this feels amazing. And I knew all the rules. I played for a while. I got a pretty good score. And then I downloaded the Austin Powers board, and I played that nonstop the last 2 weeks.
Uh-huh.
And I got a real good score in Austin Powers pinball.
Yeah, baby.
Yeah, baby. Yeah. What did I get? I'm pulling up. Oh, because Cecile was getting really into it at this point. Because once I set up Visual Pinball X, she got it set up, and then she was going ham. I zero in. I would play the one game and just get zeroed in on it. She gets the wide breadth of the experience. But I got 319 million points, and that is a big number, even in 2025, let alone 1960.
Sure.
An Austin Powers joke for you. And what I did was there's like 6 lanes on the board, and you send 4 balls up the lane. That triggers the mode, and then there's different win conditions for the mode. So if you trigger all 6 modes, then that activates the Virtucon multi-ball, which gives you which you can get a ton of points. You can get so many points. And then if you win each mode, that activates the Moonbase multi-ball, which I didn't even get close to.
Moonbase multi-ball. It's the dream.
So there's 2 wizard modes is what they're called in pinball. I felt very good hitting the one Virtucon pinball. I did look at VPin Inside, Pin Inside, P Inside. Pinside.com.
P Inside, you say.
Oh, no.
P Inside, everybody.
It is P Inside. And my score was equivalent to the number 11, I think, of all the the 100 or so Austin Powers scores submitted to that site. And I suddenly felt pretty good about myself.
Right, that's pretty solid.
So I'm playing other boards. I'm playing Medieval Madness because I saw a review for Austin Powers that called it the poor man's Medieval Madness.
Ooh.
And I was a little grouchy about it. Pinballers don't love Austin Powers pinball. They think the sound effects are annoying.
That's a point of pinball. You're supposed to be annoyed by the sound effects because it's there to throw you off your game, but also dazzle you.
They play that the whole time you play. It's great. We did go back and rewatch the first two Austin Powers movies for the first time, and
I think those movies are okay.
I like the first one.
The first one's good. Yeah.
Yeah. I think the first one's good. The second one was the one I watched a bunch as a kid, and that one gets pretty fucking stupid.
It gets real stupid, but I saw that, like, I was a teenager when that one came out, and I saw it in theaters with some friends, so I got a lot. It's like American Pie. I just have good memories of stuff being
we had it on VHS, I think. I watched it so many times. Even though I was way too young to get any of the sex jokes. So probably watching. I've never seen Goldmember, so we might catch that this week. So I think, for the record, my favorite media thing in the Austin Powers canon is still the pinball.
The pinball game, of course.
Not the PS1 pinball game. That's different.
Oh. Is it in no way like related at all, or
it's no way related? It's by like a trash dev, like shovelware dev.
Good.
Austin Powers pinball on PS1, completely different board.
I say good, but we need more trash devs these days. If I'm being honest, you kind of like. I liked going and buying those like $15 to $20 shovelware PlayStation 1 games, because every once in a while you'd find a cute little gem that, like, maybe it's not the greatest thing ever, but like, I miss B-label games. Damn it.
Mm-hmm. Oh shit! The Ghost in the Shell PS1 game actually fucking rules.
Oh, that game's so good.
Yeah, that kind of thing.
Yep.
So yeah, my arc. I'm trying to learn Medieval Madness now because it is very similar to Austin Powers, so I was able to pick it up pretty quick. I also vibed a lot with Attack from Mars at the Pinball Hall of Fame, and that one, unlike Austin Powers, is apparently actually pretty beloved.
Oh,
I really enjoying it. We watched a whole history of pinball video. Did you know that pinball originated in Chicago?
I mean, I think that would have probably been my guess, given that Bally Midway had such a hand in popularizing pinball in like the 80s and 90s. So yeah, I think that I would have probably made that guess.
Sure. I mean, it started like 30s, 40s.
Yeah. Like the laundromat that I used to go to when I lived elsewhere, they had like one of those very old like it was like some cowboy game, and it was like you could tell this thing was rugged as shit, and like every little thing in it was just like the dude that owned the place kept it maintained and everything, so it still looked really pristine. But yeah, it was just like, you could like look at that thing and see like, my God, there's just like craftsmanship. People were like building these things by hand in a basement somewhere to, and shipping them out. Like, yeah, like that. So that shit's real cool.
It's so fucking cool. There's so much love that goes into it. There's obviously a whole community of like pinball nerds that buy their own machines and maintain them. And
I have
trade tips.
I have a couple of friends that in the last 3 or 4 years ended up just getting super into pinball just because they visited the Pinball Hall of Fame, and they now own 1 or 2 of their own machines. So yeah, like when you mentioned like getting into pinball, it's like, yeah, this makes sense because I've literally seen this arc happen with 2 people I know.
That fucking rules.
It keeps happening.
Oh my God, I got pretty good at Kirby's Dream Land too. Couldn't beat any of the fucking boards. They're hard. It's hard to beat the bosses. Pinball's so fucking hard. But yeah, like I think if I tried to boil it down for like my arcade 1cc pilled brain, I think going for the wizard modes is probably scarier in pinball than going for most arcade 1cc's. I think that seems more like a more intimidating prospect based on the rules that I know.
I think that like there's the mechanical aspect of it. Like there's you've got to be very intricate to play these. You've got to kind of learn to feel out the angles of how that thing's coming off your flapper. So yeah, I get it. Like I understand how that would be just absolutely crazy to try and do.
So I'm not trying. I'm not in the mode of like I'm gonna find a board and then beat it like I would with arcade games.
No. I think it's important to just set goals. Like, yeah, hey man, I want to have like a top 10 score.
Hit the replay score, hit the default high score, hit X score on P inside. Like there's a P inside. There's you. Oh, and of course, beat Cecile's score.
Yeah, of course,
on our mutual shared spreadsheet.
Oh, you got
It's like-
another one, huh? Another mutual.
Oh, you know we got another one.
Motherfuckers got more spreadsheets than they do bed sheets.
She's been, absolutely, yes. She's been on a tear. There's 3 different Playboy boards. One from 1978, one from 1989, one from 2002, all completely different eras, all completely different, extremely sleazy in completely different ways. She's just fascinated by it. It's beautiful. That's the other thing that's great with a lot of the boards is it's just like, because pinball's always been a little bit sleazy.
Yeah, there's a sleaze factor to it.
You get all these different arcs of like pretty women drawn in different Western styles across literally like 70 years.
Yeah.
Rules.
So many different variations on really big hair.
Mm-hmm. There's multiple mermaid boards. Oh, they're really
lovely.
And yeah, this is like, it's also fun. I get, the way to put it for like my arcade pilled brain is to be like, this is a single screen action game that's extremely technical. Mm-hmm. And with in both how you manipulate, the thing, how you do actions in the game. It's extremely technical. And then also it has very complex, intricate scoring systems.
Yeah.
And it's like how they've spent like twice as long as the history of video games, basically figuring out how do we get the most meat out of, one board, out of one screen.
Yeah.
And for like an action game brain person like me, I think if you get in the right mindset, it's pretty intoxicating.
No, I again, like I've seen it happen twice. I completely understand, like seeing pinball kind of crop up in my circle just has not surprised me, given the way that like it is adjacent to kind of like the kind of precision that you would need to have to play something like, a heavy bullet curtain shmup or, 1cc, some really hard game, like I understand how those are adjacent and how they can have the same effect and have a lot of carryover.
Because there is some chance to it, but like at any high level, like doing one of those like crazy cave loops or whatnot, learning like actually like speed running, there is like an element of risk mitigation. Yeah. So things can break bad for you in pinball, but you have so many tools to mitigate that risk. Yeah. And I think that's a valid way of constructing action scenarios, if that makes sense. Yeah. Rather than just something that you can solve straightforwardly.
Yeah. Totally right. Yeah.
Cool. Yeah. That's all I got.
Pinball's cool.
Pinball rolls.
It's something that like I just don't have a lot of access to it where I'm at. So it's not. But the thing that always kind of shocked me is just like how deep playing a game of pinball can be. Like because every game's got its own rules and like how you progress through it. And like when you start seeing that it's not just I just like hit the ball into some bumpers and it's fun. Once you start seeing the nuance of that, it's just like good lord, that's like it takes a crazy amount of talent to play games like that. So I respect people that can play the hell out of some pinball quite a bit.
When I was a kid, I really liked the Jurassic Park board because a lot of the pinball in that era was all licensed stuff.
Oh, yeah.
Like early 90s, Jurassic Park, late 90s, Austin Powers, Simpsons and stuff like that. Yeah. I remember one time in Jurassic Park, I did the 5 things to light up and collect all the chaos letters.
Oh,
and it just went nuts afterwards. And I probably got 1 billion points. And I was just like, I don't know what happened, but I'm talking about a podcast 30 years later.
30 years later.
It's the coolest shit in the world.
Coolest feeling ever. It's
the one moment where you activated wizard mode or whatever.
Yeah.
Jesus, it feels so fucking good.
They're making new Jurassic Park at home versions, just a trim little $5,000. I'm like, okay, I'm good.
Just a little. You'd have to get rid of quite a few Hibiki figures to make that happen.
I think those might be the new Jurassic Park boards from Stern, because that's also the thing. There's a bunch of new pinball games being made.
They're still being made.
The same game?
Wait,
it did say 30th anniversary edition. It's probably the same.
Probably
it might
still
be
the
the same
original
game.
But yeah, like pinball games are still being made, like out of big licensed properties. Like
that's funny. I remember sometime in the early 2000s, I guess, like one of the big companies went out of business.
Yes,
and it was just like, oh,
no more pinball.
My dad just straight up said to me, they're not going to make any new pinballs anymore because they went out of business. And I'm like, oh no. And then it was and then arcades just died entirely.
Yeah.
So it was like, well, okay, they went together.
Yep. They all died. The big ones all died except Stern, and they just kept kind of chugging along with the enthusiast crowd.
Yep.
Oh god, that was another thing in Vegas. Was like, who makes these machines? And then Garden, our friend who was visiting us, was like, oh, almost all these are made by Konami.
Yeah.
I was like, what?
That's the turn you weren't expecting.
There were multiple pinball devs that just were like, actually, we can just make slot machines. That's actually much more lucrative.
Yeah, Konami makes most of the machines in Vegas. Yeah.
Yes.
Oh, I thought we were still on pinball.
No,
Stern makes pinball. Konami makes slot machines. Great.
Konami makes all the gambling stuff now.
Yeah, because they're huge in pachinko in Japan.
Yep.
Yeah.
So that kind of tracks.
Yeah.
Oh god. Yeah, it's rancid. That's how you know pinball isn't gambling, because it makes way less money than actual gambling. Cool.
All right.
Holly.
Well, how's it going?
What have you been up to?
Well, I'll tell you what.
You have interest.
I'll tell you what. I got into something good, or you could say something good got into me. I got that plumber in me.
You got that pee inside you?
Is it pin side or pee inside?
It's gotta be.
I think
it's pinball inside.
Oh, it really is.
And then you shorten it to pee inside.
Yeah.
Okay. I was giving them a break to say, oh, it's actually pin side.
You're giving them an out, so it's like, no, they didn't do this. No, they knew what they were doing.
Well, wait a second. It doesn't actually say. I guess it could I guess it could be pin side, because it doesn't say anywhere. It doesn't say pinball inside anywhere on the.
Yeah, it could just be pin
side.
side.
Yeah, maybe it's pin side.
I still think I'm gonna roll with P inside.
It's very funny.
Yeah. So P inside.
Pin side is probably right. Okay.
But we're not going to respect that.
No, absolutely
not going to respect that at all. We are the Sockscast is a pro P inside podcast.
Oh god!
Let it be known that the Sockscast and every member that hosts this podcast is very pro P inside. Just so everybody knows, I've been playing Super Mario World a lot.
Ew.
Wow.
What's going on here? So here's some history.
Why would you do that?
Here's some history. I think I've been pretty vocal in my stance on this over the years. I think Super Mario World is boring.
Correct.
And I think a lot of the excitement always came from like that game came out when I was like 10. And, I have very vivid memories of renting an SNES for the first time, or going to a furniture store with my parents, and they were there for a couple hours, but the dude that was showing them around was like, hey, we got Super Nintendo. And I remember just getting to play Super Mario World for a couple hours. It's like the coolest thing ever. And Super Mario World is only the coolest thing ever when it's the new Mario game that's out after Super Mario Brothers 3, right? I think that's where that excitement comes from. Because I very specifically remember getting my SNES and playing Super Mario World for about 2 or 3 weeks, getting all 96 episodes, and just being like, so that's it, huh? Just kind of had a big nothing feel to
that extremely tracks. I played it a bunch as a kid. It was the first game I ever beat, because it's really easy. So the mysteries all seemed like pretty interesting and haunting to me, because I didn't have the knowledge to be able to, sit there for a month and then completely clear everything and find everything in Mario World. I just replay it over and over and then find a little something new every time. And for that experience, it's very cool.
Yeah.
And then I replayed it in college. And I played it, for 4 or 5 hours. I cleared everything, and then I finished it. And I was just like, I feel empty inside. I feel nothing.
Yeah, like, imagine that as a kid. Like, you know, Mario was like the big thing, and then you get it, and it's just like, I finished it, and it's just like, but I just flew through all the levels. Literally, I remember showing my friend, like, look, I can just fly through all the levels. It's boring.
Mm-hmm.
But, so yeah, Super Mario World, I've never had the love for it that people have. And, more recently, however, back in December, if you did not listen to our Game of the Year podcast, then shame on you, first and foremost. Just shame.
Shame.
Yeah,
Shame.
well, let's look and laugh at all the Sockscast tourists right now who jumped on board after we got major popular after last year's festivities. Look and laugh at them, you big tourists. But John had listed Super Mario World Hacks as his Game of the Year in this the most stunning upset ever. It was a good one this time. It wasn't like, you know, like when that dumb.
You're gonna say Homestuck again?
Yeah, it's when dumbass Homestuck got.
I literally told someone today, they were like talking about arguing over whether things were games, and they said that they listed like a bunch of things that they didn't quite personally put there themselves. They listed Homestuck, and I was like, I actually really pissed off some podcast co-hosts almost 10 years ago.
They've not let it go.
And they haven't, and apparently they haven't let it go.
Never let it go.
Never. But that really shocked me, and it got me starting to think more about Super Mario World in a different light. And then more recently, two streamers that I watch, I Ate Your Pie and Spike Vegeta, started to do a month of Super Mario World hacks. They're just doing a whole event where they're playing a whole bunch of them with, I know there's another guy and I forgot his name, and I actually kind of feel kind of bad about that. I don't watch it. DGR Dave? I think that's his name.
Oh, yeah. I think I've heard of DGR.
He's a Mario Maker guy too, so you probably know about him. But so yeah, him, I Ate Your Pie. They're like, we're gonna play a bunch of Mario, a big curated list of Super Mario World hacks throughout the month, and I started watching that, and it was just like, my idea of Mario hacks and Kaizo had always been kind of twisted, right? And I think that you can imagine what it looks like. You know, it looks like those old videos.
Like Kaizo 1.
Yeah, it's, you know, like I have very vivid memories of watching a dude named Sir Ron Lionheart. You know, you can hear his voice right now, can't you, Rhete?
Yep.
And he played through that original Kaizo game, and it's exactly what you think it is. You know, save state, reload state, and it's just like I don't like, and then you would see people eventually got good at it. To the where it was appearing in GDQs and people could play these without it being tasked and shit. And it was just like, but it still looked way too insane. It's like, this is just too much.
There's constant Kaizo blocks. Like, and even like the best levels in the game, you are like constantly having to memorize where all these different blocks are and make your movement around it.
And that's not really what I liked. What I immediately, so like when I went into watching them play these games, I'm going to be tuning out very soon because I am literally not here to watch people bonk into fucking Kaizo blocks every 2 steps. What I started seeing was that they were playing hacks and this wasn't happening. There was actually very cool level design happening. There was intricacies in movement that they were exploring and figuring out that original Super Mario Brothers game just does not in any way ever play with. Like Mario's
even remotely.
Mario's movement in Super Mario World is honestly kind of crazy. I had no idea how nuanced and cared for it is, because there are some hacks that play with that shit, but for majority of Super Mario World hacks, especially all the ones that I have played recently, they go with just the bare bones. This is Super Mario World physics. You're just going to play with them. And then you start realizing the very careful nuance that was put into creating Mario's like move set. And it just like, you start feeling like you were playing something completely different. So I started with one that got a lot of mention. I think you mentioned it on the Game of the Year cast specifically, Love Yourself.
Yeah, that's one of my favorites.
It's a beginner Kaizo And it doesn't have anything too crazy, like, crazy multiple shell jumps or anything like that. I think like the meanest thing that it has is like a disco shell level. Like, I think that's probably like the meanest thing it has, because I think disco shell riding is the stupidest thing, and I'll always hate it. But
Polly, you say that. You don't know how bad the dolphins can be.
Oh no, I've seen dolphins. I've watched streamers struggle with dolphins before. Dolphins are RNG, so they kind of strike me as just not fair.
Yeah, Kaizo Mario 1 is mostly learnable, except that there's a dolphin level early on, and it just fucks
random.
my shit up. Yeah. And it makes me so sad because I really wanted to get good at that one, and it's like, no, this is just a misery wall.
Yeah. So, all
right, continue.
So I picked up Love Yourself. That was the first one. I was like, that's the John recommended one, so we're gonna do that.
Still is. I've had like 6 friends play it and have a good time.
And like the first night I'm playing it, I'm expecting to clear like, I don't know, 1 or 2 levels, and I did like 6. And what I really like about Love Yourself is that it is Kaizo. It is hard. It's very good at presenting every level as this puzzle you have to figure out. And your means of figuring out the puzzle is just kind of adapting to and understanding these physics. Because I did not play to learn to Kaizo first. I actually played Love Yourself about halfway through, and then I went and did a bunch of shit and to learn to Kaizo, which is like...
I actually did the exact same thing. I alternated between them.
Yeah, it's a real solid tutorial ROM on how to do a lot of the good Kaizo stuff. And if you just do like the first 3 worlds, you'll come away with knowing everything you basically need to know for like pretty standard Kaizo stuff. Like a lot of the stuff gets way too deep for my blood, like double shell kicking and things like that. I'm like, yeah,
I haven't had to do any of that in actual hacks. I don't think I've ever played I don't think I've actually had to do any cape shit in any of the hacks I've played.
Yeah, I think most people kind of agree the cape just kind of sucks, and all the hacks I've played just don't use it.
But there's some wild shit people do with the cape. I think would be cool.
You can absolutely do crazy shit with the cape, but it's just like, that's not what I'm here for, Chief.
Sure.
But I played Love Yourself. Like, that game is just, as a game, it's incredible because it has an incredible progression. Like, the way that it takes you through its levels, the way every single level is just this wholly unique and cool challenge, but you're learning cool shit along the way. Like that's where I learned regrabs, like where you do a low jump, but then you immediately hold the jump again to get a lower, more horizontal, quicker jump.
Regrabs feel so good.
And once you get that, and once your brain locks in, because I think that's the coolest part of having been playing these games now, is that like when your brain locks into it and you're not thinking about it anymore. Because when you start learning about regrabs, you're thinking about every single one of them. But then like an hour later or an hour or two into Love Yourself, I'm just doing them and not thinking about it anymore. My hands have already locked into how to do a regrab, and I just feel it now.
Feels so fucking good.
And that is like one of the coolest feelings about this whole thing. But Love Yourself in and of itself is just an incredible game, start to finish. Like, it has an incredibly cool climax, and then it soars even higher than that. And it just, that is the thing that impressed me. Like, if you want to talk about making a great first impression of like what Kaizo Mario can be, like, I think Love Yourself is an incredible way to go. There are a couple others that I think are really good for beginners too, that may even be a little easier, but this is like Love Yourself is also where I learned sort of like the modern developed sort of Kaizo language that
spin jump here, here's a blue coin, here's a red yellow coin to jump here.
Yeah, like a lot of hacks now are really good at just like, they put little markers here, like, hey, like this is where you want to let go of the shell, because if you do it, you're going to get your shell jump. If you jump where these blue coins are, if you do your spin jump, you're always going to be safe. You just got to figure out how to land it. And that's the difficulty, in that like you just start learning how to feel out the jumps. And like I can't remember which level it was, but I did completely like sight read one of the Love Yourself levels. I think it was
feels so good.
I think it was think it was the ice level where you got to do like a bunch of jumping.
That's a tricky one.
That
too.
one was
Good work.
I think that's the one that I did first try because I had recently done the slide tutorial in Takaizo to learn. So I was able to, okay, I know that you can just like do a run and then just duck and just keep sliding everywhere. Yeah. But yeah,
I'll like when I get one of those going, like I just start at a checkpoint for the first time, and then I just like get really far into it without dying. I'm just yelling, "Call the library!" Because look at these reeds.
You fucking dork. But yeah, like Love Yourself was like where it's like, all right, you know what? I like this stuff now. So then I went and I played Of Jumps and Platforms, which that's not really... That was
actually my entry point.
It's not really Kaizo, because I don't really remember any specifically Kaizo things in that game. It's just really solid, like really fast run and gun platforming. Just like, go. Fucking go.
What if Mario World was like a really good, like 20-minute platformer action game?
Yeah, it's
fast-paced
solid.
action game.
It's so good. It's such
crazy.
It's such a quick fit. I also liked Super Cindy World.
I haven't played that one.
It's a beginner Kaizo. It's like you will blast through it in like 20 minutes, but it's very cute in everything that it's doing.
Good.
I think that like in terms of just like overall level design and creator expressing themselves in a way that just feels really cool, and you feel cool when you get the levels right, and you can probably do really good reads on some of them, is the Chicanery beginner version.
Yeah, that one looks good.
Oh, Chicanery beginner version is really, really solid. It's got like so many cool little gimmicks that I just never seen before. Like there's this one level where the on and off switches toggle whether the background is water or not. So it's like you jump and then suddenly you're swimming, but then you have to go and you have to chase a platform. You have to like kind of like basically you're babysitting a platform all the way through the level while you're alternating between jumping and having to swim. So you're just turning the entire like play space. It's either an underwater level or it's a platforming level now. And it's like it blew my mind. How solidly put together that was. I also not really like so like I've played a lot of these games now, and like I finally kind of found my appreciation for Super Mario World, even if it's not
Mario World.
Yeah, even if it's not for Super Mario World itself. And it's like.
Mario World has my favorite platformer movement at this point. That's where I'm at. This is my favorite platformer movement. Celeste is like the other one.
I think Celeste is still, you know, my top. Like maybe if I get more, so, like I think the Super Mario World feels incredible now that like I'm playing levels where I'm forced to use mechanics in ways that feel satisfying and fun, and with people who know how to like design levels that can accommodate that moveset and aren't just making Mario 3 levels that I can fly over.
Yeah. I think calling Mario World levels Mario 3 levels is giving too much credit for Mario World.
Is. Yeah. Yeah.
Mario 3 levels are punchy and they have like a good idea they develop.
Yeah.
And about half of them are slow auto scrollers.
About half of them are really great auto scrollers that are wonderful. Rhete. Fuck you.
There are a lot of auto scrollers in Super Mario Brothers 3, but I was never really that bothered by them because I think a lot of them do some really fun, like that one in Skyland where it's real fast and vertical. You telling me that's not a cool idea? That's really
it's weird
solid.
That's the one my mind went to immediately as well.
Yeah, like the fire chomps are chasing you the whole way. Like that is an exciting level. I don't care what anybody says. I will absolutely say it's valid to think Super Mario Brothers 3 has too many auto scrollers, but I think it does some good shit with a lot of them.
World 1 auto scrollers are rough for sure.
Yeah,
they're for sure.
They're boring.
World 8 auto scrollers,
real
the
good
double
shit.
speed
There's too
auto
many.
scroller in World 8. Oh,
World 8 is when that's too many.
but they're good though because they're hard.
God, who does not have remembering the first time you got the Dark World and having to do that second airship that's literally 2 times faster than any auto scroller in the game.
Because a good auto scroll level is like a shmup. You're thinking the whole time you're staying engaged. A bad one is one where you have to where you're just waiting for the screen to progress.
And that is World 1 auto scrollers.
For sure. It's most auto scrollers in Wario World.
Yeah. It is. I can't think of a single auto scroller in Super
There are
Mario.
autos.
Yeah, there's auto scrollers. Yeah. There's a couple.
In the second world, there's there's that cave level right after the first cave level. That's an auto scroller.
It was so slow too.
It's so slow.
Where you're waiting for the yellow bits to ride up and down. It sucks. Man, but Mario hacks. But Super Mario World hacks though, really, really good. I'm having
shout out to Brolif and Socks, who's been playing 1 billion of them and getting other folks psyched about it.
Where did this come from? Where did Brolif's just complete Brolif's entire world is now Super Mario World hacks. That is all that dude plays now.
Watch. It's been so fun to watch.
It has been incredible. Every morning I log into Discord. It's he's probably beating another one. Yeah, there it is. It's Jesus Christ. What? That's so incredible that it's just it's all of us are getting into it around this time. It's what caused this?
I replayed Love Yourself and Quickie World 2 in a sitting apiece, and those games are still really fun. And then I was also to get used to playing on hardware because I've been playing on an emulator with spin jump mapped to the shoulder button, and I wanted to start playing on a CRT. So Love Yourself was a great way to learn.
Yeah.
Okay, the spin jump texture is different now.
Yeah. I got that even on because I have it loaded up on my Anbernic RG40XXV, and I don't notice a lot of input delay on that thing, but it is different. There is a lot. There is a very notable difference in in the way I have to approach it if I'm playing it on an emulator or on my Raspberry Pi.
Yeah, Mario World is the only thing in all of video games where I've noticed input delay.
Yeah, I think that, I rarely ever notice it. It's not people will be bitching and moaning about it unless it's something crazy. If we're talking Mortal Kombat 1 SNES, literally a half a second behind.
Sure.
Then I'll notice it, but I rarely ever notice it's got 2 frames of input lag. It's I don't know. Maybe I'm just a good gamer. I don't know.
I've always played on emulators.
I'm good at video games. I'm sorry that you're bad.
So Cecile sat me down with her hardware and the CRT that we had to lug up here from Texas. And I was kind of lightly grouchy about it the whole time. And then I sat down and I loaded up a hack, and I was playing it, and I was like, fuck, it does feel more responsive.
Yeah, it does. I am not going to deny that. I will not deny that. It is. Oh,
you can get so far just playing on an emulator. Yeah, I was beating multiple intermediate hacks.
Yeah, modern displays are not as delayed as older, just even from LCDs. 10 years ago. The game modes are pretty solid on most TVs these days, I've found. So it's just I don't know. I don't think that it's much ado about nothing, because I think that you should always strive for it to be as close to the original experience as possible. But I also don't think that it's that terrible. I think that
most of these hacks are made to be played on emulators anyway. Yeah,
so that's what they're being tested on anyway. So I get that. Something that's not Kaizo. Something that's not Kaizo that I did play through, and it feels real quaint when you go and you play a bunch of Kaizo stuff that's really hard and really demanding, and then you go and play something that's just a normal ass Super Mario World hack. And it's this feels really quaint.
Oh, I've been meaning to play this one for years.
I played a Plumber for All Seasons.
Yes!
And this one is just a really damn good Super Mario World game that these people put together. It has a lot of love. There's just so many. Everything is original. I don't know that this thing uses a single asset from the original game. It is just all a gorgeously put together little piece of work. It has bosses that don't suck, which I remember.
Hell yeah.
I can't remember what it was, but I remember watching Pie and Spike play one of the hacks, and they got to the end of it, and it's just like, all Super Mario World bosses suck, so we're not going to insult you by doing one. So here's credits.
My favorite thing a lot of them do is like lava rising from the bottom, and you have to run like a vertical auto scroller, like escape sequences.
Yeah, I love escape sequences.
Like 3 or 4 that do that, and it's always fun.
Yep. Escape sequences are so good. Thinking about one right now that was really, really good. Yeah. We're thinking about the same one.
Yes, correct. Gamble also has a really good one.
Oh,
no, I was thinking of Memory Lane, which is I banged my head on the first level of this hack for like 5 hours, and then I played Up Jumps and Platforms, and then after like 12 other hacks, I went back to Memory Lane and I crushed it.
Nice,
it felt so good.
Nice. Yeah, like there's such a wide spread now of levels of difficulty and people making these. It's just I think that there's truly is something for everybody that wants to play Super Mario World, but it's got some teeth to it. And it's easier than ever to patch these things together, because you just grab the ROM file and from SMW Central, and they've got a patcher right there on their site that you can just run the shit through, and then you just either load it up in an emulator, throw it on an external device like a Raspberry Pi or an Ambernic handheld or something, and you're good. But yeah, like this is something I definitely want to explore more. Like I think that like Love Yourself and Chicanery have been just like my favorite things of just, oh, that's just absolutely, you understand game progression in a way that makes me feel real good. And I think that both of those are probably really good at easing you in. But if you want something to just ease you in really, really well, I would think Of Jumps and Platforms and Super Cindy World are both really, really good.
Love the Jumps and Platforms.
Yeah. So that's basically.
I'm playing Ambivalence. I'm playing Ambivalence now, and it's kicking my ass.
Oh no.
I got the first Castle World, and it just fucking wrecked my shit. I finally cleared it today.
What was that? That's intermediate or hard?
Yeah, intermediates are the one where it's like you sit down and your session is 1 or 2 levels, maybe.
Yeah,
and then the expert bullshit is like, oh, every single level is like a huge grind.
You may get a checkpoint, you may not.
Yeah. But I still think the intermediate hacks are still in the zone where I can have a lot of fun.
Yeah, I've looked at some intermediate stuff, and I was like, yeah, I think this is like my wheelhouse. I think that's as far as I want to go. I like a lot of the beginner stuff that I've played just because those feel good. Like they understand how to make a game, and it's just like, oh, I just feel good playing this. That felt awesome. I did that. So yeah,
you do. I think for me, like going back to Love Yourself and Quickie World 2, there is a bit of like, oh, I kind of cruised through that pretty easily. Like you do get there's a satisfaction to like having to earn it a little bit more that you get as you get better and better at the hacks. Yeah. I really enjoy these things.
Yeah, like it's been fun. Like, going back to a game that I've never really held much reverence for and finding a way to actually enjoy it and kind of find my own way of like revering it through other people's hard work. And again, just seeing other people take that journey is also really fun because, like I said, I was watching Pie and Spike play these, and they've never played these kind of games before. They've never played Kaizo. So it's just like you could kind of like see them getting better at this stuff over the course of a month too, and you see that reflected in your own gameplay. And it's like, that was a really cool thing to kind of experience, and it wasn't really planned. It was like, I'll just try it out and see what happens. If it ain't for me, it ain't for me. And then Love Yourself just completely stuck to me.
I love it. I think this is a good ecosystem for games is when like, a company makes a big game that's like very that has like all these different systems and nuances, but the game itself is made for a mass audience and can't really explore all those nuances but just kind of by its nature.
Yeah. And
then sometimes you get like sequels that'll kind of push that harder, but like a mod or ROM hack community is the kind of thing that can be like, no, we're going to be perverts about this. Yeah. we're going to get the nuances of Super Mario World's movement and then explore and build a whole community around exploring them. And you see those kinds of scenes develop around games like Doom, of course.
I was going to say,
Doom.
I think Super Mario World is like the Doom of console games at this point, because there's almost a little something for everybody. Like there's a Doom there's a Doom wad for everybody. There's a Super Mario World hack for everybody.
And that's beautiful. It's a different zone of freeware dev that I think is just as worth taking a look at as like the purely original games.
Absolutely.
Especially if you like action games. Like I think in freeware circles, I can kind of struggle sometimes to find the kind of action design I really like versus just playing like retro arcade games and whatnot.
Yeah.
But just sort of the more insular nature of like these communities where they're pushing this one engine farther and farther.
Yeah.
Like, the Love Yourself climax where you got kind of the Contra arc.
Oh my, yeah, it literally is like the Contra. Like it's crazy.
It's like this is a zone where I can get Contra arcs out of freeware dev kind of consistently.
Right. That's insane.
That's crazy.
It's so good.
It's nuts.
Like every time I think back to the Love Yourself climax and then what happens after, I literally feel my face lighting up. It's so good.
So nice.
I'm gonna need you to play Love Yourself. It'll be hard, but you play platform games. You played Super Meat Boy.
Oh, right, you'd crush it.
Yeah. But yeah, that's my journey. Had a real good time. Like, kind of like, again, it feels nice to kind of like come away like appreciating something that like I've never really held a lot of reverence for, even if it's not for that original piece of work, but what it facilitates. So yeah, Super Mario World, you're cool in my book. But everybody else made you cool.
Mario World is a beautiful canvas upon which people have painted masterpieces.
Absolutely. Anything else?
That's perfect.
What about you, Rhete? Any Mario thoughts?
I think it's funny that Nintendo tried to kind of take control of the scene with Mario Maker.
Yeah.
And Mario Maker 2. And like there is a whole scene over there as well, especially with like the troll stuff.
Sure.
But the fact that Mario World still kept going on its own because if you want like direct control, they're doing crazy stuff in some of those hacks.
Yeah. Like they literally remade, like I literally saw, sorry.
So much of this stuff has happened since Mario Maker 1 came out. Like they did actually bring more people into the scene in a way. I don't give Nintendo credit for that, of course.
Yeah, like Chicanery is literally made by Bufflin, who is one of the more well-known Super Mario Maker level designers, and it shows in everything that he does because he's brought some of that weird like Super Mario Maker shit into this Kaizo world, and it's like, I've not seen anybody do this quite this way. That's interesting.
Cool.
So yeah, I guess that's it for this episode of the show. It was actually a really solid little 160. Nice, wouldn't you say?
I forgot this was 169.
So, John, where can the internet people at home find you?
Farawaytimes.itch.io. I have a website and a blog linked. I did actually write a whole piece kind of talking about my Kaizo arc on my blog. It's just linked on the sidebar.
Cool. Rhete!
I don't want to plug the other site this time. Where's rhete.bsky.social, I guess.
It's a mouthful. You can get custom like
I know,
handles, but it's like a pain in the ass, and it's like, well, if I did mine, like adding me would eat up way more characters. You would have to use my whole thing because it would be like poly.
Socks make people sexy.
It would be too long.
So
like
funny.
I would be making you eat up precious characters that you could be used to talking to me about all of the things that I love. And you can find me at Polyplushie. I'm pretty much that everywhere at this point that matters. And that's going to wrap things for now. We'll be back up in your ear holes in another 2 or 3 weeks, however long it takes. But until then, please remember that we are the podcast that loves you. We are the only ones that love you.